Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the weekly multi-platform service of TriCounty Unitarian Universalist based in Summerfield, Florida. We acknowledge that we occupy the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the indigenous Florida peoples. I'm Peggy Roberts, today's service leader, and welcome to all of our members and friends, and a special welcome to those who might be visiting here for the first time, maybe even on Zoom. Unitarian Universalists are united not by a creed of shared beliefs, but by a covenant of shared values. We celebrate that we do not need to think alike in order to love alike. It's our respect and encouragement of each other's diversity, of the diversity of thought, that truly binds us together. For the curious and for the seekers, Unitarian Universalist values and covenant may be found in your order of service or at our website, triuu.org, triuu.org. Our newsletter included in the timetable can also be found there under News and Events. We have announcements, but first, please mute your phone or put it in airplane mode. Thank you. If you came here today looking for our congregation's minister, the Reverend Christina Spouty will be here back in the pulpit next Sunday. Last week's rummage sale was a huge success, and Joyce Mills would like to tell us about and share our results.
Yesterday, this place looked very different. All last week, this room was turned upside down. And those of you who helped transform it last Sunday and yesterday, would you please stand? Keep standing. Those of you who donated items for the rummage sale, stand. Those of you who sorted, shelved, priced, and sold for the rummage sale, please stand. You'll see that over half of you here were part of the rummage sale. You can sit down now. So yesterday we started boxing up items, and some of the items went to Shepherd's Lighthouse. Bill Nelson of the congregation is on the board of Shepherd's Lighthouse in Bellevue. They provide housing support training for women and children, and they have a thrift shop. So some of the smaller items went to their thrift shop, and they're expecting about $1,000 from that. And some of it we decided to send to some of the warmer linens, bedding, to the Farm Workers Association of Florida in Apopka. They spoke at at a forum recently, and they're in desperate need of warm clothing. So if any of you have that, bring it, and we'll see that they get it. Some of it we took to the Goodwill. I have a carload of paintings that I will take to a hospice thrift shop. We donated a number of the Santa Bears that were donated to us, not by a member, but by a neighbor or a friend of a member. So many people made the success. Oh, I know, you're waiting for the amount that we earned. I looked at those faces and I said, they're still not satisfied. Well, we took in the most we have ever taken in, and it was over $5,200, $300. So I forgot to mention the cooks and those who fed us each day. We had homemade chili, we had homemade soup, sandwiches, vegetables, and lots of fruit. Thank you.
Good news. Thank you, Joyce, and thanks to everyone who helped. Reverend Christina Dance was an intern here at TriUU before she became senior minister at Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix. She answered the call recently for clergy to bear witness in the city of Minneapolis. She will be Zooming into the In the News group that on our website, on our Zooming platform on Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock. February the 10th, this coming Tuesday at 4 o'clock, and will share her reflections on her experience in Minneapolis. I saw her picture on Facebook with her lots of clothes on. Remember, it was well below zero. You can find the link on our calendar under News and Events at our website. So please join us Tuesday at 4 on the Zoom. The forum this Thursday, February the 12th, is a professionally produced documentary called Words on the Wind, which honors the ancient wisdom of the Haudenosaunee people. Lou Angora of our congregation will share his documentary with us at 4 o'clock. Potluck follows this Thursday. Randall and India Cawthron are choir members that join us every January and February, at least, sometimes March, invited us all for a grilling potluck starting at noon on Thursday, February the 19th. Thursday, February 19th. Please sign up on the clipboard in the back. That's just a week from Thursday, so sign up today if you can. It's coming up soon. This concludes our announcements, and as we now begin the service proper, we will recite our vision statement. Please join with your voice as we recite together. We will be an influential voice for progressive religious values in a diverse community. Our chalice leader today is Joan Shepherd, so we invite those of you who are Zooming at home to light your chalice if you have one at home.
Resilience is a precious skill. People who have it tend also to have three underlying advantages. First, a belief that they can influence life events. Second, a tendency to find meaningful purpose in life's turmoil. And third, a conviction that they can learn both from their negative and positive experiences. This is by Amanda Ripley.
Thank you. And the choir will be next.
Distractions everywhere. Oh. Distractions everywhere.
Howard Roberts is a native of Kentucky whose education includes a college degree and 3 seminary degrees, including a Doctor of Ministry degree. During a 45-year pastoral ministry, Howard served congregations in Kentucky, Georgia, Maryland, Alabama, Virginia, and Illinois. He's a strong advocate for the separation of church and state, served as guest chaplain of the United States House of Representatives, led a peace and friendship tour to the Soviet Union in 1986, and was a Merrill Fellow at Harvard Divinity School in the fall of 1987. Books he has written include U-Turns Permitted and Faith and Ethics, Tough Choices for the 21st Century. Howard met Peggy Greiser in college, that's me. They have been traveling life's journey together for 56 years. They bought a house in the Villages in 2007 and moved here permanently in 2011. Soon after moving to the Villages, a friend asked Howard what he was doing during retirement. Howard replied, "I swim for exercise, I play basketball for fun, and I play golf for humility." And I get lots of humility. Howard has spoken at TriCounty Unitarian Universalist Fellowship on 2 previous occasions. The first occasion, he shared his mind-changing journey in learning and acknowledging his struggles with his own racism. The second occasion, he discussed lie after lie as he attempted to understand how so many evangelical Christians became and continue as supporters of Donald Trump. Today, Howard will be sharing his journey from biblical literalist to critical thinker as he learns how to be the best human being he can be. Howard, welcome back to TriU. I'm especially glad you're here.
Distractions everywhere. Racist posts, inhumane arrests, terrible winter storms, people hungry, people treating each other horribly. Distraction, distraction, distraction. For the next few moments, put the distractions aside and focus on whatever can bring you calm, hope in the middle of distraction after distraction. Those who are able, please stand and join together in the singing of our opening hymn, which will be on your screen.
We are living neath the great Big Dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. I am alone and I am searching, hungering for answers in my time. I am balanced on the brink of wisdom. I'm impatient to receive a sign. I move forward with my senses open. give my heart. I am gathering the tools together. I'm preparing to do my part. All of those who have come before me, band together and be my guide. Loving lessons that I will follow. We're all swimming to the other side. When we get there, we'll discover all of the gifts we've been given to share have been with us since love's beginning, and we never noticed they were there. We can balance at the brink of wisdom, never recognizing that we've arrived. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living beneath the great Big Dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side.
Is there some minor event that happened in your life that, as you dealt with it, it resulted in a major decision that in some ways changed your life forever? I've had a few of those. I entered college with the vocational plans to be a Baptist pastor. Now, conventional wisdom was that with plans to do graduate study at a seminary, my college major should be something other than religion or Bible. Well, that put me in a terrible situation. What was I going to major in? And being a person who likes to have a plan and then work the plan so that everything goes along smoothly, I was struggling, thinking that I needed to declare a major immediately and move forward with classes so that would lead to the completion of a major in college and to a college degree. So I had some anxiety about what that was going to be. I signed up for a beginning speech class, thinking that I certainly would need good speaking skills if I were going to be a minister. After presenting my first speech in the beginning speech class, I received a written critique from the professor, Edwina Snyder, and at the bottom of her critique sheet was a handwritten note. Have you considered speech as your major? I had not. I made an appointment with Dr. Snyder to discuss her question, and as a result of my conversation with her, I decided to declare public speaking as my major. I proceeded with the appropriate coursework. During my senior year, I entered a contest on campus that was sponsored by the speech department and won $500. I later entered the Kentucky Intercollegiate Oratorical Contest and won that and competed at the national level. I graduated from college with a degree in public speaking. What started as a minor discussion with a professor about declaring a major resulted in a clear plan to guide me through my college career. My educational pursuit was significantly clarified for the better as the result of a minor influence that led to a major decision.
As we move deeper into our service, let us turn inward to consider transitions, the joys, sorrows, and concerns we all experience in our life's journey. There are 3 bowls of stones of different colors representing the gratitude of joy, the grief of sorrow, and the hope of concern. After those present have placed stones in the water, our ushers will place stones from each of the bowls into the water on behalf of those not physically present are those who have chosen not to come forward or who are unable to come forward. Those online are invited to type into the chat and express what is in your heart. When all the stones have been mingled in the water and all have shared, we'll take a moment for silent meditation or prayer. As the sound of the bells bring us back into community, we will sing our response, Spirit of Life. Ushers, you may come forward now. Now let's take just a moment to reflect upon our own joys, concerns, and sorrows, and those of others. the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. The music team is presenting today's sharing of abundance. Nancy? Better, that's better. It is my privilege to share my thoughts about our music program this morning. The music program will host this month's potluck. The choir will provide fabulous entertainment with a specialist song. Please sign up in the back of the sanctuary so that we may know how many tables we need. TriUU is very fortunate to have Tom Z, I can't pronounce his last name, as a music director. His expert piano playing has made a huge contribution to our Sunday services. He works hard to select the best music for us. Two people that I also want to mention are Peggy Roberts and Frank Kelly. Peggy has graciously volunteered to direct our choir. She makes sure we stay together, hit the right notes, and utilize correct timing. Frank adds expert percussion, which provides interesting dimensions to the music. There is something especially gratifying about being part of our choir. We practice each week so we can work on bringing the best sound and harmonies to our selections. To me, making music with my fellow choir members is a spiritual practice. I plan to be a part of our choir for as long as I'm able to sing. Now, I have 3 questions for you. Number 1, do you sing in the shower? Anybody sing in the shower? A few, okay. Let's see. Number 2, do you sing with the radio in your car? Me. Number 3, did you sing in your school chorus or church choir? If yes, maybe it's time for you to join our choir. We need lots of sopranos, altos, and baritones. We can always use new choir members, and we need you. Please continue to support the TriUU music program with your yearly pledge. I want to end with a quote from Jerry Schlosser. He wrote a poem in memory of my husband, Al, and I'd like to share a part of it with you. Belong in that moment, in no other, for it is our destiny all along to be fully present and discover that life gathers its meaning from a song. Thank you, Nancy. Really. Oh, let me raise this back up. I don't remember. Did you see how you do that? Oh, I've never done that. And now here is an update from the stewardship team.
Well, Jerry is really with us today. For those of you who don't know Jerry, Jerry was a longtime member of this congregation that left for hire or all their planes last year. And he named this mascot that I discovered for our tropical theme for Sanity Island, named itself Jerry. And during the rummage sale, something I think was mystical and very moving. It's going to sound silly. Jerry's name tag appeared, and so Jerry now has Jerry's name tag. I just so love that. And with your reference, Nancy, to Jerry, it just seems like he really is here cheering us on to do what we need to do to stay who we need to be in this crazy, crazy environment that we're in and maintain ourselves as our beautiful Sanity Island. So I'm going to set Jerry over here. Howard said he'd keep an eye on Jerry. So thank you, Howard. Okay, so we are at 66% of our pledge goal today. I got some, yes. It's very good, and we get to add one ring to our beautiful rainbow, but look at this. We still have this much to go. We need $65,000 in pledges to meet our pledge goal. And our annual meeting is March 1st, it's coming right up here. And our budget for the next fiscal year is totally based on our pledge income. So it's up to you guys. It's totally up to you guys. I've been watching, I've been making a list and checking it twice, actually more than twice. And there are a lot of you that haven't turned your pledges in yet. So please do that, because we really do need the numbers to know what we can do in our budget next year. And one last thing, next week, our stewardship team, courtesy of Jan and Darlene back there, raise your hands. We are doing hospitality hour next week. It's going to be tropical, it's going to be sexy, it's going to be delicious, it's going to have surprises, and you're going to want to celebrate because we're going to have a lot more pledges in next week. So join us, don't miss hospitality hour, because it is going to be wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you. We will now receive our offering. If you're visiting with us for the first time, please don't feel obligated to give. You are a guest, and we're happy to have you here with us today. This is a time in our service when those who wish to make a monetary contribution to our congregation's vision and mission give to support this community and its outreach. If you're putting cash in the basket that you want credited to your pledge, please put the cash in a manila envelope with your name on the front. Envelopes are available at the table at the back of the sanctuary. I invite the ushers to come forward.
Life is a journey, and every life is a story. We learn about life by sharing our stories, and as we share our stories, we discover places where our lives intersect. We are wise when we stop, look, and listen at those intersections, making discoveries that underscore that regardless of our varied stories, cultures, and experiences, we are all more alike than we are different. So, for what it's worth, I'm sharing my story with you today. So here goes. Because there was no hospital in my hometown, I was born at the farmhouse of my paternal grandparents. My great uncle, a country doctor, delivered me. 40 years later, he was still practicing medicine, still making house calls. And I made house calls with him as part of my research for his biography that I wrote in 1987. During my lifetime, I've earned money mowing lawns, delivering milk, bagging groceries, assisting a carpenter, and working as a disc jockey. At age 12 or 13, I began exploring vocational choices. I considered law, medicine, medical missionary, ministry. I had a dinner conversation in our home with a visiting evangelist about my interest in becoming a medical missionary. He was a glitzy dresser, a celebrity-style preacher, who told me he had known several people who had considered a similar vocation who got the medical part done, but not the missionary. As a result of that conversation, I began considering and pursuing ministry as a vocation. This decision was interpreted in my religious community, and thus by me, as a call to ministry. Lots of lofty language was used to elevate the value of ministry as a vocation, with the emphasis on how special a person was who was called into the ministry. The Apostle Paul's Damascus Road experience was often referred to as the epitome of a calling. And the more dramatically a person described his calling, and there were no her callings in those days, the more authentic that calling was considered to be. Well, my calling was not dramatic. My calling, if that's what it was simply a gradual development and evolvement toward ministry as a vocation. I was invited by my home church pastor to deliver a sermon at a Wednesday evening service. I covered everything from Genesis to Revelation in less than 15 minutes. Immediately after finishing the sermon, the pastor asked the congregation to license me as a minister, and they did. I was 15 years old. That summer, I received several invitations to preach at small rural churches. My dad had to go with me on my first preaching assignments because I wasn't old enough to have a driver's license. Early in my freshman year, I tried out for the high school basketball team. I'd been playing intramural basketball since the 4th grade, but my primary role had been to keep the bench warm for the better players. One of the stations during the tryouts for high school basketball was to skip rope. I was embarrassed. I was the only person trying out for the team who couldn't skip rope. Surprise, I didn't make the team. That following fall of my sophomore year, the basketball coach was the teacher in study hall. One afternoon, in September, he invited me up to his desk. Said he was working on the insurance policy for the basketball team and wanted to know if I was going to try out. I told him I had a job after school and I wasn't going to try out. After all, remember, I was the guy that couldn't skip rope. The coach responded by saying that I'd be working the rest of my life, and added he was working on the insurance policy for the players and wondered if I was going to try out for the team. I assured him I was not. I had a job after school, and so I wouldn't be trying out. But on my way home, I began to think, if he's asking me if I'm going to try out, and if he's working on the insurance policy, I think if I try out, I'll make the team. So at dinner that night, I told my parents of my plan to try out for the team, and their immediate response was, "You got a job after school." I said, "I know, but I'll talk to my boss and see if I could work Saturdays only." I talked to the boss. That was okay. I tried out for the team. I made the team. My junior year, I started on the junior varsity team, and my senior year, I started on the varsity team. I grew up during the Vietnam War when the draft was in full force and the way that the Army was staffed. I met with my local draft board when I was 18, as was required of all 18-year-old males at the time. Soon after I had met with the draft board, I received my draft card. It included my name, my birthday, and my classification. My classification was 4D. On the back of the draft card were all the classifications and who was in each category. The classification 4D, it stated, was for idiots, imbeciles, and ministers of the gospel. My dad said I was the only person he knew that fit all three categories. At the beginning of my sophomore year in college, a classmate had preached at a rural congregation and could not return the following Sunday. He asked if I would be the guest preacher the next week at the Stone Lick Baptist Church near Maysville, Kentucky. I agreed. After the worship service, Gordon and Gladys Cowan invited me to go to lunch with them. They were going to Gordon's parents' house for lunch. And on our way there, Gordon, one of the two deacons in the congregation, asked if I would be willing to consider serving as their pastor. I told him I would be interested. I was invited to preach again the following Sunday, and at the conclusion of the worship service, the congregation took a secret ballot vote to invite me to be their pastor. 29 people voted yes. Nobody voted no. At the wise age of 19, with no formal education other than a high school diploma, I was pastor of a congregation. I discovered that education was not a requirement to be a Baptist minister. My home pastor began the process of scheduling an ordination service. The ordination service was scheduled for Sunday afternoon, November the 6th, 1966, in my home church, with 300 people in attendance, where an interrogator asked me questions for 45 minutes. I was ordained at 19, no formal education other than a high school diploma. About 6 months later, I had been observing as the pastor of the Stone Lick Baptist Church that when I got there on Sunday morning, the electricity was on. In the wintertime, the heat was on. I received my weekly check of $30. I had no idea what the income of the church was, nor what the expenditures were. So during the announcement, I casually suggested that the congregation develop a budget. And immediately the treasurer stood up in the back of the church and said, "You've accused me of stealing from the church. I resign." Suddenly I discovered that tension can arise in a congregation. During my college sophomore year, I had an educational and faith crisis. I registered for Old Testament survey, just a minor decision. B.A. Sizemore was the Old Testament survey professor, and he was presenting information about the Gilgamesh epic and flood stories from cultures contemporary with biblical culture. It was a very difficult 6 weeks of fog living, as I attempted to sort through and reconcile scientific methods and facts with biblical material. For quick context now, I grew up in a small county seat town in south central Kentucky, a member of the First Baptist Church whose pastor had an 8th grade education. He urged me to not let anything keep me from getting an education, but many of the church members sent me off to college with the warning, don't let those professors destroy your faith. Anti-intellectualism was and is alive and well. I'm off to college with conflicting messages. Don't let anything keep you from getting an education. Don't let those professors destroy your faith. Dr. Sizemore began that Old Testament survey course focusing on the creation stories in Genesis and the flood story of Noah. I came to the course with a literalist view of Scripture. For someone to suggest that there was more than one creation story in the Bible was abomination. Dr. Sizemore talked about flood stories in other religious traditions. He made my head hurt. If what he said was true, how can I possibly reconcile my literalist approach to the Bible and the information that he was sharing? The only thing that tempered the shock of Sizemore's words was his monotone delivery. He was not saying, you got to believe this. It seems he was saying, here's information you need to know. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to process this information in your life, in your understanding of living? As I remember the first semester of my college sophomore year, I just walked around campus in a fog, struggling with how I could prepare and deliver sermons with these conflicting messages about the biblical material and scientific facts. By the end of the semester, I concluded that I had to explore, accept, and integrate what scholars had learned and shared about the Bible and how it came to be, and also had the task to apply those biblical teachings to contemporary life every Sunday morning. In this process, Jesus became a model for me of what it means to be a human being. Jesus taught me that to be the best human being I could be meant that I was to love my neighbors, to welcome immigrants and refugees, to feed the hungry, and to stand beside those and with those in need. That, I understood, was what it meant to be a human being. Also, during my sophomore year, I met Peggy Greiser. We dated a little more than a year, became engaged, spent a summer as summer missionaries, she in North Dakota and I in Guyana, South America. We continued to date through my senior year of college and married a week after my graduation. Peggy commuted 80 miles to complete her college degree and then earned her master's in arts and teaching while I was earning a master's of divinity degree. Peggy taught school for a year and I earned a master of theology degree. Our first child, Melanie, was born during that time. And when we were expecting her, we decided together, we talked about what was happening to us and what we were going to do as parents. And we together decided that probably the most important thing we would do with our lives would be to rear our children to be healthy, thinking, independent, respectful human beings. We have 3 children, and I think we achieved that goal with each of them. They each earned and paid for college degrees in different ways. They met and married spouses and have families of their own. We have 6 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. During a career of 45 years, I served 7 congregations as pastor, ranging in size from 29 to 2,000. I was instrumental in 2 of those congregations ordaining women as deacons and ministers. I was instrumental in one of those congregations inviting an African-American woman to serve as a staff minister of a congregation that was almost 99% white. I mentioned earlier that Mary Huddleston said I'd accused her of stealing from the church. As Laura Rogers, one of the matriarchs of my second congregation, was greeting me following a worship service, she critiqued my sermon by saying, "You know, the longer you're at that seminary, the worse you get." Helen Cooper, a member of the pastor search committee of my third congregation, wrote me a letter with the following questions and observations she had in considering me for the position of their pastor. Have you or members of your family ever been on welfare? Have you had roaches? What kind of housekeeper is Peggy? I'm glad to see that Peggy visits the beauty parlor often. Another member of my third congregation pulled my hair one evening to see if it was real or a toupee. At a town hall meeting with my fourth congregation, where I was introduced to the congregation, Ina Smith said following the question and answer period, "If what you said tonight is true, we'd have to take half the hymns out of the hymnal." I agreed with her. She was shocked. I became her pastor and served Broadview Baptist Church for 15 years. During my tenure at Broadview Baptist Church, I wrote and published my first of 12 books. Based on my experiences and my journey and the income I received from royalties for the sale of my books and the hours I spent writing them, I made 20 cents an hour writing. You see, I didn't have the creativity and the plethora of ideas like Steve Burt has, whom you know so well. So my writing was not as creative, it was not as profitable, and none of my books got any awards. Also during my tenure as pastor of Broadview Baptist Church, I searched for a way to get regular physical exercise. I considered taking care of my body a significant stewardship issue. I tried walking and running. Neither was satisfactory. We joined a swim club within walking distance of our house, and Peggy and I signed up for an adult stroke and lap course. I discovered swimming as a way to get regular exercise, and I began swimming laps 46 years ago, and I'm continuing to do it. I have swum over 8,000 miles in the last 46 years. I formulated one of my books while swimming, and numerous sermons. I think that's why some people thought some of my sermons were a bit soggy. I became pastor of the Auburn First Baptist Church in Auburn, Alabama in January of 1993. In my 5th year, 2 deacons asked for a meeting with me, and during that meeting they reported that 17 people had been meeting secretly concerning their perception that I wasn't a good fit for the congregation, and they asked me to resign. Here are some of the complaints those people had put together. His eyes are too deep set. We can't see them when he's in the pulpit. The car he drives isn't prestigious enough for the pastor of the First Baptist Church. The owner of the Cadillac dealership was in the church. I suggested they have him get me a car. Another complaint, he's not from here. Never mind, the congregation paid the expenses for us to move from Maryland to Alabama. No, we weren't from there. Some of his suits have polyester in them. I can't believe he took such an exotic sabbatical. Well, I didn't resign, but I began the process of seeing if there's another congregation I might serve. Gerald Johnson and Bob Stevenson continued for 2 years to claim that they had not asked me to resign. Eventually, 2 years after I left that congregation, one of them admitted to the congregation that they had asked me to resign. I learned that church members can and do lie. I became pastor of the Ravensworth Baptist Church in 1998. I commuted from Auburn, Alabama to Arlington, Virginia for 2 years. to serve my fifth congregation. Now, the reason was we couldn't sell our house in Auburn, so we were a bit trapped. After 2 years, I was offered the opportunity to be the executive director of the Atria Assisted Living Facility in Auburn. That got me back to Auburn, and so I accepted that position. Somebody asked me one time what the job was like, and I responded, well, I'm operating a cafeteria, a recreation facility, and a hotel for all the most challenging church members I've ever known, all in one place. After 11 months, I was fired from that job because I didn't bring in new residents fast enough. During my unemployment saga, I decided to re-enter ministry as a vocation, not as a Baptist, but as a United Church of Christ minister. I became the interim minister of a United Church of Christ congregation in Pine Mountain, Georgia. And I saw an ad in a periodical for a senior minister of the Glenview Community Church. The ad was very intriguing and piqued my interest. I told Peggy about it and that I was interested in applying for this position. And I saved the very best statement for the last. It's in the suburbs of Chicago. And her immediate response was, I don't do cold. But it was one of the top 10 congregations in the United Church of Christ. Peggy agreed that if I wanted to apply, she would support me, and if I got the position, she'd do cold. I applied for the position. I was selected by the congregation to be their senior minister, and I served as their senior minister from February of 2002 until my retirement in 2011, and Peggy did cold very well. Early in my professional career, I examined and re-examined the meaning of the calling in life. Early in my life, I heard people speak about a high calling in life. And I heard ministers say that the highest calling was the call to be a minister. It was interesting that only ministers ever said that. As I explored and reflected and examined and re-examined the concept of calling or vocation, I concluded there aren't high callings, there aren't low callings. There is a calling, one calling. Be a human being. Regardless of whether you believe in God or not, regardless of what you believe about how the world came into existence, we all have the same calling in life. We're all called to be human beings. Given what's occurring in our country, given that some ICE agents are acting inhumanely, given that many elected officials are being cowardly, given that racist and inhumane language continually infiltrate public discourse, more than ever, we must answer the calling to be the best human beings we can be. There are thousands of jobs, vocations, and avocations available to us that enable us to be the best human beings we can be. We may have the same job for all of our careers, or we may change jobs or professions time after time in our lives to enable us to be the best human beings we can be. But if ever the world, if ever our nation, if ever our state, if ever our communities needed the best human beings we can be, it is now. I continue striving to answer my calling to being the best human being I can be. This autobiographical chat has been a way to share with you some of the nuggets of my journey from biblical literalist to critical thinker as I continue learning how to be a human being. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Please stand now for our hymn, "Oh, for a World." Oh, for a world where everyone respects each other's ways, where love is lived and all is done with justice and with praise. Oh, for a world where goods are heard and ever believed, where truth is spoken, children spared, equality achieved. We welcome one world family and struggle with each choice that opens us to unity and gives our vision voice. The poor are rich, the weak are strong, the foolish ones are wise. Tell all who mourn, outcasts belong, who perishes will rise. Oh, for a world preparing for God's glorious reign of peace, where time and tears will be no more, and all but love will cease. Seated. Now Joan Shepherd will read our chalice extinguishing message.
This month's theme is resilience, and that's what this message is about. Resilience allows us to move through hardship and come out better. No one escapes fear and suffering, yet from fear can come courage, from suffering can come strength if we have resilience. Our resilience increases as we recognize the magnitude of what we have already accomplished. This is Eric Edens and Pat O'Gorman's words.
I invite anyone who has just begun visiting with us and wishes to do so to introduce themselves. Please raise your hand and an usher will bring a microphone to you. Please keep the microphone close to your mouth so we can hear you better. Oh, good. In the back? Oh, and in the front. Good. Go ahead.
What am I supposed to say?
Who you are and where you're from?
Yeah, I'm Sam Wilson, and I live in the Villages, and I've kind of been searching for a environment that gives me an opportunity to express my concerns about the world as it is today, and not be afraid of alienate myself to other people in the congregation. And I've been praying about that opportunity, and I happened to look at your posting on Nextdoor about the garage sale, and then I kind of dived into your web page and printed off your newsletter and kind of read about that, and I said, well, this Saturday, I guess it was, I came out here, Friday, I guess it was, I came out here and just kind of kick the tires a little bit, and I said, well, I'm going to come back on Sunday to see what's going on, and you know, I'm very impressed with. I don't know how I'm going to weave my a Baptist non-denominational background into the theology here, but I'm willing to have a look at it.
Thank you so much. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. All right, room in the back.
Okay. My name is Don. This is Val King. We just moved here about a month ago. We live in Ocala. We moved from St. George, Utah.
Whoa,
We only lived there for a few years. I'm a native Floridian. I haven't lived in Florida for 47 years, though, so it's changed a little bit since I was gone. But, we're kind of spiritual seekers. We're actually members of a Unitarian Universalist church in Atlanta, actually the
Wonderful.
Decatur congregation, which was very involved in the civil rights movement back in those days. As a matter of fact, they were basically chased out of Atlanta because of their views. But it was a very welcoming place. Just any kind of people you would think of, any positive religion was welcome. Basically the same way I think you guys think.
Yes.
Even the church was in the round. It's stadium seating in the round. The pastor, little Jewish man, Anthony was just the best pastor. But the fact that it wasn't like where I was used to. I was raised in a Pentecostal holiness church, very hierarchical, very strict. Women had to wear their hair long, dresses all the time. All that.
Wow.
The big members of the church all sat in the front, and everybody else looked at the back of their heads. Just didn't feel like the right fit for me. So, being in this congregation, I'm a searcher. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Buddhist. I think there's many roads to the top of the mountain. And these kind of congregations are where I feel the most at home. So I think you'll see us again. I won't speak for my wife. I'll let her speak for a second, but I'm happy to meet you all. And you can tell I struggle with the shyness problem.
I actually do struggle with the shyness problem. He said it all, but we were actually married by the UU minister at that church too. So we were happy. The UUs in St. George in Utah didn't have a congregation. They called it a fellowship, and so it was a little bit different. It was not a service like this was, like we were used to back in Atlanta. So we were delighted to find this and couldn't wait till we got our home organized and all, and we're ready to come here for Sunday. So we're happy to be here.
Wow, welcome. We're so glad you're all here. Anyone else? That's wonderful. I think you all fit in very well. Anyone else? Anybody at home? On Zoom. All right, thank you so much. We also invite, let's see. Oh, I did that one. If you'd like to receive regular communications on upcoming TriUU events, take and fill out a guest card, which will be available at the door after the service. If you have any questions, feel free to see Andrea, will be at the back table, right behind the chairs after the service. We are interested to know how you experienced this hybrid worship or what you took away from the sermon. So for those of you who are on Zoom, you can raise your hand to speak or type your comment in the chat box. For those here in the gatherings place, please raise your hand. We can't run too long probably, but we have time. Howard and I will call on you. Please share your name. Keep the microphone close to your mouth so we can hear you better. And our Zoom friends miss your face. So if you're willing, come to the front, right up here in front of the podium, and you can be seen on Zoom if you are willing. Keep comments brief and on topic. And I don't think there'll be any announcements. No announcement. Yes. Oh, there. Okay, we have one over here. Tim in the choir.
Question?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Reverend Dr. Howard, I remember the last time you spoke here, and what I'm about to say you may not like, because one, it suggests that you moved to Kentucky. Two, it brings you out of retirement. But There are 2 senators in Kentucky who can be well replaced, and you would be an excellent candidate. That's the part I don't even like, because it means you would have to move. But in Florida, there are 2 senators that could be replaced, and I would love it if you replaced them. But if you don't want to make a 6-year commitment, our congressman is awful. So you could think about doing that, and I would be very happy if you would. Thank you.
Thank you. For what it's worth, I minored in political science. And I have toyed with the idea of running from time to time, but the only running I'm going to do these days on the basketball court, and it's not very fast. Yes, Myra, hi.
Hello. I wanted to tell you about my great-great-great-grandfather. His name was Nick Fetterspiel, and he went to seminary, and he ran into those people that your church was warning you about, and they made him a certified bona fide atheist.
Good for him.
He was a smart aleck, and what he would do, apparently the nut doesn't fall far from the tree, he would, there were circuit preachers at that time, it was a long time ago, and they'd come to church and they'd preach in the local church, and he'd want to have a conversation with them, and they would leave atheists too. He was very evangelical for an atheist. I just thought you would, there's a reason why they said what they said. There are people who act that way, yes.
Thanks. Go here, right here.
My dear Dr. Roberts,
Yes.
the line that I completely took away with and has needed to be said this morning is the fact that you said that first be a human being. And I remember in 1964, I bought my first record album. And my first record album was Barbra Streisand's People. And the lines that I remember distinctly to this day, and I'm sure everybody else does, that has listened to People, sung by Barbra Streisand, is
The accident crushed your
first
shoulder.
be a person.
We can save your life, Kenan, but the operation is going to
And
require
when you need-
amputation of you.
When you need people, that is what makes you a human being. And I feel that this line that you uttered this morning is so crucial, because in this troubled time, we are losing our humanity to a certain extent. Some more than others, some less than others. But I do feel that when you need people, people that need people are the luckiest people in the world. And that to me is so important. We cannot function without people. We are wired up for biological connection on this planet. And when we need people, nothing could be, and that's what makes us a human being.
Steve on Zoom.
Actually, it's Jolin.
Oh, Jolin, okay.
We're just saying it's so nice to see you, and we were determined to be here and be set up for watching you this morning. And your sermon was great. We expected that, but just want you to know we're here cheering for you.
And we're doing cold. We're 20 below.
Yeah, all right, okay.
I've got a sweater on. Yeah.
For others listening by Zoom, they just moved to New York, Albany, New York. Thanks, Jan.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Jan, and Howard, can you think about when your critical thinking skills were developed? Do you imagine it came from your family, or was it when you got to college? Or because you talk about being a critical thinker, and I'm wondering, where did it come from?
I think a little of it began at home. My dad especially was good at asking questions about certain things. Other things he never did question. I mean, my parents were diehard supporters of Richard Nixon till the day he died. One of the most painful things in my life was going to visit my parents several years ago, and in the kitchen they had two pictures up on the wall, one of George W. Bush and the other of me, and it was painful to see myself us on the same level. But I guess the really critical thinking began in that Old Testament survey course, where I was faced with a dilemma of what am I going to do, because I'm doing sermons every Sunday, and I've been taking this literalist view of Scripture, and if I'm going to do that, then I've got to discard and discount everything that's being said in this class. And what am I going to do? And I think that's when it really began for me. And then my continued education just continued to feed that for me. Yeah. We'll take this one up front and then that one in the back.
Hi. Hi, I'm Liz Perdue. I'm a recovering Southern Baptist. So two things, Sam, yes, it can be done. And thank you so much. I wish you'd been my preacher.
Thank you.
Joyce Mills here. Howard, we're glad you found the right path. And we love you, and we will have you anytime you're available.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Zoom? Yes.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, it's Kathy Volker, formerly Kathy Smart of Broadview Baptist Church.
Oh, Kathy! Hey.
So happy to see you, Howard and Peggy. We have also Sandra Gardner and Susan Mandel on Zoom today. This was just great. I am also a recovering Southern Baptist, thanks to Howard. So, this has been wonderful. It's great to see you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. She was a member of Broadview Baptist Church and a very strong and good leader of that congregation. I also, just briefly, just as the service started, I received messages on my watch from two of my colleagues. One of my colleagues, Jim Strickland, started a group over 30 years ago, primarily of ministers. It was all of ministers, and to get together once a year and kind of compare notes and support each other and develop relationships. And I've been in that group for over 30 years, and the name of the group, we titled ourselves the Dead Preachers Society. You had to have been killed in the ministry at least once to qualify to be in the group. But I heard from Jim and from Bill Hornbuckle on my watch just as the service was beginning. So I appreciate them for listening in on Zoom as well. Thank you very much for your support, for your attentiveness, and for your responses. Thank you. Benediction. I'd like to stand for the benediction. As we go, let us be mindful that the world is too dangerous of a place for anything but the truth, too small of a place for anything but love, too conflicted of a place for anything but peace, too despairing of a place for anything but hope, and too unfair of a place for anything but justice. Let us go forth today working for truth, love, peace, hope, and justice for all, for all, for all. Amen.
You got to love him, right? Join us for fellowship in the back of the room until 11 o'clock. If you want a bit more to eat and more time to visit, there's a sign-up sheet on the table near the bookshelves to coordinate with others who'd like to go out for brunch. We'll be going out too. The Zoom room will stay open for 20 minutes. Thank you for being here and enjoy the refreshments.